On this edition of The Small Interview, our guest is RVTV producer and host of Frightfully Brilliant, Visual Hollywood, The Dark Goddess, and multiple other RVTV show series, David the Bruce. Hello, Road Valley, and welcome to another edition of the Small Interview with Glamour Dave. I'm your host, David Glamour Dave Nienow, and I have with me today a friend of mine, a fellow producer here at RVTV, the producer extraordinaire, David the Bruce, is my guest, and we're doing a two-part interview with David to talk about his life in Hollywood and his life here in the Valley and his work at RVTV, and we're going to talk about political issues affecting community media. So this is a two-part show, so make sure you look for the second part a bit later. And so I welcome David the Bruce to the show. So David, welcome.
Well, it's good to be here. Small interview, you say?
Yeah, well, the small interview is one. It's a public access cheapened version of the big interview with Dan Rather, just scaled down at the public access level. And
it's all relative, isn't it?
And Dan Rather gets to interview the world's most famous bands and other celebrities that he's interviewed in his career.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that big, so I just interview all my friends here in the Road Valley. And this is typically my emergency show production, where I would typically, when a guest cancels on one of my other shows and I still have to fill my studio time,
You do.
I normally drag someone off my crew and we sit down and we do an interview, right, to fill that time.
Yeah.
But this is one of the rare occasions when I've actually gotten a planned production date for the show. So this is a little bit different. And so I'm happy to have you on. You've been proven to be a great friend in my work here at the studio, and I very much appreciate that. And so oftentimes I like to use this show to kind of as a way to explore our working relationship with whoever my guest is, and then to thank them for all the help they've given me. So this is kind of a thank you to you.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So now my understanding is that you originally worked in Hollywood.
I did.
Yeah.
I come from a family that had some show people in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandfather, he painted backgrounds for Warner Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, way back when, we're going, great-grandfather, I guess that'd be 1930s.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Depression back then brought people from, in my case, Illinois, to the West Coast, where it was the land of better opportunity.
Right.
And one of those places that people liked to gravitate to during the Great Depression was Hollywood.
Yeah.
And so that's where some of my family got going. And it's actually where I got going, at NBC Studios, which is what's my big deal with cameras and studios and all of that. I can't tell you all the shows I worked on. I worked on so many. Anytime there was a game show on, I was there on a camera doing it.
Right.
Met a lot of friends. Wasn't anybody I didn't know that I could know. And I loved it. It was fun, but it was grueling, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. You cannot have a family, which I had at the time.
Yeah.
You can't. No. You clock in at 6 o'clock. Get the studio set up, bleachers for the audience, and they're going to come in. They pay the show host a lot of money, and they're always late. Not only do they have to pay these immense salaries, but then they have to start paying the crew because of the lateness. And I mean they're late, which means that when you do the show, and then the audience has to stand outside for hours waiting just to get in, right? And then when they get in, and the show's late because the overpaid host is late, it goes into overtime. So then you wanted to go home for dinner. You're not going home for dinner. You're not showing up at home until 9 o'clock at night. Whoo-wee. I mean, what a difference between that and this.
Yeah, well.
This is like civilized.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is.
I will admit, though, I really enjoyed watching whatever NBC show was on. It was all live out of the studio, and a shot that I did come out and go, "That's mine."
Yeah.
I went, "That's mine." Well, I don't know. It's just kind of thrilling, to see your own work there on television. But yeah, that's. Oh, there you go. There's my story about Hollywood.
Yeah.
Family included.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How many years did you do that work in Hollywood?
Long time. I don't remember now.
Yeah.
6 to 10 maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what was it that brought you up to here to Southern Oregon? What made you make?
Well, there was a lot of stuff in between.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah. Divorce is what brought me here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a family. They've been living here since 1950.
Okay.
Yeah. And 1950. Now, my family, I have discovered, was pretty racially bigoted. And I guess in Southern California, Southern Oregon, there's kind of a history of the KKK and all
there
that.
is. Yeah.
I just recently discovered that my uncle Chuck, and my Uncle Frank had robes.
Oh, wow.
KKK robes. Uh-huh. You could have picked me off the floor. Yeah. And I don't know why I turned out to be the black sheep in the family, but man, just bring me anything different, I'm there, none of this white stuff for me, Jeez. But anyway, so they had been here since the 1950s, and I rather suspect that was kind of the case.
Yeah.
My grandmother said, not that you're interested in any of this, my grandmother said there were two creations. And I could see where she could see that in Genesis, chapter 1, chapter 2, they are a little different. And she said, well, in the first one, God created Anglos. Uh-huh. See, Anglos are like angels. And in the second chapter, or something like that, Satan created the Jews and the blacks.
Oh, God.
Now, when I discovered she believed this, I thought, well, okay, I'm not going to argue with her. I know she's wrong. I was young, but she's wrong. She's dead off wrong. Satan never created anything except chaos, in my view, So I thought, but it would be good to ask her so I could find out why. Yeah. Why do you believe that? And I think that's been kind of the course of my life. I may not agree, but I want to know why.
Right, yeah.
The knowing is more than me slamming, right?
Yeah.
Because what's the point? If I would say, Grandma, I'm not going to see you anymore, how dare you think the Jews were created by Satan? How dare you think that? What is that? The thing that changes you, which is the power of RVTV, by the way, is relationship and community. Yeah. If you can stay talking to a person and in relationship, you're gonna have the best opportunity to change them and be changed yourself. Mm-hmm. It's really beautiful, and I know since you've been here, it's been this sustaining community that you have found here at RVTV, who are all over the roadmap philosophically.
That's right.
Am I right?
Yeah, no, we have a very diverse group of people here.
That's right. And they all want to learn from each other, and they all want to get along. Yeah. That's what makes this so beautiful. And what an amazing thing to have in this formerly very racist Southern Oregon community. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yes, it's great. It's great stuff. I don't think anybody today would claim to be part of the KKK. No, not in this area anyway.
And I've lived here all my life here in the Valley, and in my life, the diversity of our population has grown. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the more diverse of a population we have, I think society is improved and made better.
Yeah, it has. All right. How much time do we have left for this? Where are we at? Oh, we're about halfway. Okay. Well.
All right. Okay. All right. So we're halfway through.
Okay. Now, before I get here, which maybe we could talk more about in the next episode, I want to talk to you about how I got here.
Yeah.
So, After I did the NBC thing, okay. So I had a divorce, and then I got remarried and moved to Chicago. Now I moved to Chicago because I had gotten religion, and I figured that it would be really good to go to seminary. So I did.
Okay.
I went to Chicago, and they had like a consortium of 10 seminaries, the best in the land, including the University of Chicago. And so by going to one of them, you got to go to all of them.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the Presbyterian, the Baptist, the Unitarians. It was wonderful. What a great experience. I could talk to the biggest and the best of all of them. You know, someone pulls out an NIV translation. I know the translators on that. You know, I'm speaking terms with them. Well, at least the ones that are still alive. The NIV being the most popular evangelical text. But anyway, so I did. I went, and I even became a preacher man for a time.
Okay.
Yeah. And did you know that?
No, that's a new one on me.
You
That's,
did not know that I was a preacher man.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah. Boy, I did learn a lot. You want me to tell you the strangest thing that ever happened?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, this is so strange. Have you ever seen Benny Hinn or anything like that on TV?
Yeah.
He puts hands on people and they fall over.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I like to speak around. I still do. And so this one Assembly of God guy, preacher, he invited me to come and speak in his church, and I did. And so I was talking about culture. Of course, back then I was kind of in my yes and no, black and white, nothing in between kind of mode. You know how religious people are. It's either yes or it's no. Anyway, so I was waxing eloquently. Now, in an Assembly of God church, they usually have like an altar call. You know, so people come up. You know what an altar call is? You know, at the end of a sermon, they call for people to come forward and accept Christ. You ever hear that?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. You know, so you become a Christian. So people were coming forward, and they have this altar rail. Can I stand up? Does that change the lights? Okay. So these people are coming up. Now, having been the speaker, I'm supposed to pray for each one, right? So I start with the first one, came up. You know, I thought, oh, okay, this is easy. The pastor was kind of, you know, giving me visual clues as to what to do. Yeah. It's a little different in every church. You certainly don't do this in a Presbyterian church. So, you know, I'd lay hands and pray. And as soon as I laid hands, the person went backwards, man. They went, what they called slain in the spirit. I went to the second one, and they went over. I went to the third, and they went over. And the fourth. I went all the way down the line. I go, holy cow, I don't know what to think about this. And then I get to the end, and I look back, and I see everybody's back up at the altar again. I said, oh, that's great. I said, oh, they're all back at the altar. And the pastor goes, no, that's a new group.
Okay.
So some of the lessons that I learned while in my religious days was most of it's pretty much BS, man. Yeah. There was no power in me going to anybody that they should be going over. And why the heck did they think that I had that kind of connection with God? Yeah. It was well, okay, so I'm going to leave that one. I have a bunch of other stories along that line, but I really want to get to this one thing that really drove me into media. And that was that while in a parsonage, I heard that there was a woman living in a crawl space with her baby. Okay. And Chicago gets really cold in the winter, you know. I mean, it's cold. We're talking sub-zero kind of stuff, you know, especially with the wind chill. They call it the Michigan Lake effect. Anyway, so I thought, no, that's wrong. So I said, have her come here. I got a room. Have her come here, and she can stay. And I'm going to get out the social service book. It's about that thick. It's blue. And so surely there's going to be some place in Chicago that could take in a kid. Yeah. Right? Right. A mom and a baby. I went through that, and you know what? There wasn't one single social agency that would take in a mom with a baby. Mm-hmm. I was shocked. Why do you have all these social agencies and none can take care of a woman with a baby living in a crawl space in the middle of winter? Right. Well, I just was I was enraged. So I heard at the time that Eli Lilly had some money that they wanted to give away to appease their guilt about drugs. And they had this thing called church and community, you know, where you could get some money from them if you wanted to do something magnificent in your community. So I thought, well, sure enough, I'll just go ahead and do this. I'm gonna get a house for her to live in, and I'm gonna start a transitional facility so that, you know, well, anyway, I could go on and on, but I won't. I'll just make it short.
Yeah.
Just a way of helping people. And I applied, got the money, and there was this 6-unit building, apartment building, bought it, and began to put people in it. And then HUD found out about this, and they came to me and they said, would you like to do a bigger one? I said, well, sure enough. And so there was these people that I knew over on the north side of Chicago that had a 60-unit apartment building. And so they wanted to gut it and rehab it and make it for homeless or abused women with children. Mm-hmm. So we did. And we raised $6 million, some of that through doing media on public television.
Right, okay.
Yep, to do that. And it was great. The Leland House, it still exists to this day. But I did low-income housing, I did 2 transitional housing facilities, and then a gang ranch in Hayti, South Dakota, where gang members could come and get out of the gangs. Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's another story. But I used video. Boy, I don't even have time to get into most of this stuff, but I used video to go around to social groups and church groups to get monthly supporters.
Right, okay.
And television. I mean, people got to see what you're doing.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And my idea was to combine the rural, that is the farming community, with the inner city where you had the gang problems, mm-hmm. and the suburbs where you had a lot of money. So one group had a lot of land and a lot of know-how, farmers and all. Another group had a lot of money, that would be the suburbs. And then the other group, they just were in need. Okay. So it was a perfect marriage of all of that. Yeah. But the one thing that I quickly discovered, because I was a religious person at the time, not once did my seminary ask me to speak about how to raise money, how to help the helpless, how to take in the homeless. None of the stuff you read in the Beatitudes were they about it. I had a big shock. It was all about dogma. It was all about religion. It's all about what we believe and what they don't. No! Whatever happened to things like love your neighbor, even more than that, love your enemy. Where is that? I know it's preached about, I know it's said, I know it's read, but where is it? Whoa! Man, I'd been on the wrong ship. You know, I found myself really liking people, but less all the time the dogma, man. Yeah. What good is the dogma if it doesn't help somebody? If this isn't about helping somebody, I'm not interested. Do I sound like a preacher there?
Yeah, you do. You're doing good. And I'm sure.
Ooh, I tell you, I used to like Pentecostal churches. Man, you could do that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure Gary in the control room's like, gotta lower the volume a little bit.
How much time do we have for this episode?
We got like less than 10 minutes, I think, right? So,
where are we at?
Yeah.
Because you want me just to tell you a little bit about how dishonest even the churches in this area are? This is a blow you away story. The largest church, or at least it was at one time, I think it still is Applegate. Uh-huh. Applegate, which is a member of the Calvary Chapel movement, which was started by Chuck Smith. Chuck Smith needed a hippie in the early days, like 69, 71, somewhere in there, to reach the hippies that were down there in Costa Mesa, California. Stumbled across a guy by the name of Lon Frisbee. Lon Frisbee, look him up on Wikipedia. I'm not kidding you about this story. Lon Frisbee had a big King Jimmy Bible under his arm. He was out there preaching to the hippies. Well, Chuck Smith brought him in, and so one week Chuck Smith would speak, the next week Lonnie Frisbee would speak at their Calvary Chapel there in Costa Mesa. Uh-huh. Lonnie Frisbee, though, was a practicing gay homosexual who used LSD for his revelations. On the cover of Look magazine was Chuck Smith and Lon Frisbee baptizing people in the Pacific Ocean back in the Jesus people days. Well, out of that comes Applegate.
Okay.
Lonnie Frisbee, the drug-taking, gay, practicing gay, homosexual who died of AIDS, is the co-founder of their church. And when you read the history, he's taken out. What does it mean when somebody who is different than you gets weeded out? Gets weeded out.
Yeah.
That is just wrong. It's just wrong. That would be like, you know, in this community, if somebody was like gay, they go, oh, you can't make programs here anymore. You know, we're going to take you off our membership list. What is that? You know what the number one thing in the number one thing in the top 100 TV programs, I think I've told you this, the top 100 novels, the top 100 comic books, the top 100 radio shows, dramas, movies, the top one, in the top 100, do you know what they all have in common? A lot of people say, well, sex or violence. Nope. Relationship.
Yeah.
The core of life is relationship. We are relationship-starved humans. We want relationship. We want it so badly. So why destroy it? Mm-hmm. Why put roadblocks around that which we are so starved for and we so need?
Right.
You cannot survive without relationship, or at least not very well.
Yeah.
I would not want to be on a desert island. I tell you, no way, Renee. And I think the power of RVTV, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that has meant for you in the next one
that's right.
coming up, has been this relationship. It's been about community.
Yeah. 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 So we're down to like the last 5 minutes of this show. So, yeah, I mean, relationships are essential in life, and you know, dealing with barriers towards relationship building should not be something that's out there, you know, but it exists, and we're constantly confronted and dealing with the various barriers in life that affect that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Jesus once said, you know, if someone forces you to walk a mile, which is every reason in the world not to have a relationship, walk another mile with them. Mm-hmm. You know, where the first mile is by force, the second mile is by choice, where you establish a relationship.
Yeah.
The greatest change agent in the world is relationship. When we talk, we adjust our language to each other. And that's pretty powerful. When you become part of a conversation, you've already changed it. And you've changed the people there. There's this a wonderful word that's been mistranslated in the Bible, and it's metanoia. It's usually translated repentance, and people think of repentance as crying and weeping and regret. Well, it can be that, but metanoia, meta, change, metamorphosis, noia, knowledge. Change your mind. I like metanoia experiences. I want you to change my mind. I want you to change me. Please say something that will transform my life. Metanoia. I live for it. And that's why I want this, not that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, David, you certainly bring a unique perspective to things for sure. And I'm sure that Gary there in the control room is like, adjusting the volume
up and down according to my rants.
Yeah, he's getting his work in for sure. So.
But what a great crew. Amazing.
Yeah, that's what's great about RVTV is this is such a tremendous community, and it's certainly been a great thing for me. And we'll get into talking about that in the next interview segment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you've got great stories. I knew that when I got you booked for the show, it's going to be like having John Letts on the show, because once I get you wound up and started, my job's done as the interviewer. I just let you do your thing, and
Easy peasy.
and just makes for a fun, easy show. So we're down to the last couple of minutes, and I think we're gonna wrap up just a little bit early, but I thank you for coming on, and we will get into talking about more about our work here at RVTV, some of the politics affecting community media, not only here but across the nation.
Yeah.
And
There's an awful lot going on right now.
Yeah, and
A lot going on.
So Road Valley, I thank you for tuning in and watching, and we will see you next time on the small interview with Glamour Dave, and be sure to watch for part 2 of my interview with David the Bruce. So thank you, Road Valley. That's it for this edition of the small interview for tonight. We're always eager to hear what you have to say, so follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and support this show at our Patreon page at patreon.com/GlamourDave. You can send us your comments to viewer@glamourdave.com.